Hello dear students, I hope you guys are doing fine. So we had an introductory session about what poetry is, what are the kinds of social functions of poetry, and why we should critically analyze poetry. And we also looked at how we can critically analyze poetry, some strategies of analyzing poetry critically. Now we are moving on to some specific poetic works which are prescribed in the text. And the very first poem that I will be dealing with is, it's not a poem actually, it's actually a song. I'm Your Man by Leonard Cohen. I'm very sure that at least some of you would be familiar with this name, Leonard Cohen. I was not, probably until my master's days. A friend of mine introduced to this amazing singer, songwriter from Canada, and his songs were like so beautiful that I hold some of his songs very dear to my heart. One song goes like this. Like a bird on the wire, like a drunken midnight choir, I have tried in my way to be free. This is one of his songs which I hold very dear, and he's a wonderful personality. He's probably one among the most popular pop singers of all time, and not just a singer, poet, novelist, a wonderful human being, a very popular figure. We'll just have a very quick look at his biographical details and then proceed towards looking at the poem critically. So Leonard Cohen, Canadian singer, songwriter and poet. He belonged to a Jewish family. His mother was Lithuanian and his father was Polish. These are the details you will find in the text, of course, but I'm just telling you so that you have a quick overview of these details. And one of his most significant mentors were the poet Irving Layton, and his early influences, the poetic influences, were writers like W.B. Yeats, Walt Whitman. So if these people are his early influences, you definitely can think about what kind of writing would Cohen have been producing. So W.B. Yeats, Walt Whitman, there are certain peculiarities to their writing. If you're not familiar with these writers, I want you to Google their names and take a look at some of their works also. And he had very supportive parents, especially his mother. They supported him throughout his musical ventures, and at the age of 13 itself, he was part of a small band which was called Buckskin Boys. And he was into poetry initially, but later on, at a later stage of his life, he realized that poetry was not as well commissioned as songwriting, and he moved on to songwriting. He has published novels also. We'll have a quick look at some of his important works. Let us compare Mythologies, his first collection, and The Spice Box of the Earth, and poetry collection, Death of a Lady's Man, and Flowers for Hitler, and some novels, The Favorite Game and Beautiful Losers. And when he moved on to composing songs, his first album, Songs of Leonard Cohen, which came out in 1967, and then 3 more albums followed, Songs from a Room and Songs of Love and Hate, and New Skin for the Old Ceremony. So, and mostly his songs dealt with questions of social and political justice and questions of ethics. So he was not just some random poet who spoke about love, or who was very gloriously spoke about the beauty of life, or he was not at all that kind of a poet, but he was very strongly inclined towards the political issues that were going on at his time, and he spoke about them, and he was a spokesperson of equality and liberal views. And then there are many honors that he got. He was honored as the Companion of Order of Canada, Companion of the Order of Canada, which is probably like one of the most honorable positions that one can attain in Canada. And he has won Canadian Juno Awards, and he's mostly compared with and considered on par with Bob Dylan, Nobel Prize winning songwriter Bob Dylan. They have some similarities in the kind of themes that they deal with, the way they write. I've also felt that. So they're both very popular and very influential figures in the history of art itself, maybe. And they both of them actually mark a kind of new era where, you know, pop culture actually becomes blended with what we call as art, which is to be learned. That is, there was always this distinction between the what to say, pop culture and classical cultures. So pop culture was mostly considered inferior and was not taken up as an academic subject most of the time. But with the advent of the 20th century, we can see that this kind of a boundary somehow blurs, and even works of popular culture start becoming things which should be analyzed and which have the potential to reveal a lot of cultural values, and has the potential to reveal a lot about the social ideas. So in that aspect, both these artists are very significant, Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. So there are some very basic details, which I would rather skip because it's all there in the text. So more than talking about the author, we have a very rudimentary picture of his life now. But I believe that more than his life, we as students of literature can now delve deeply into the kind of work that he has produced. It's not that his life and biographical details are not important, but those are things that you can find on the internet or probably in your text itself and learn for yourself. It's in the activity of analyzing this poem that I can be of more help. So that's why I thought I'll give more importance to that. So the poem that we have to learn is I Am Your Man. I am your man. So I think at least some of you, a handful of you, if you have not heard it from Cohen, I am very sure that you would have heard it from one of the most popular actors in Malayalam, Mohanlal. So I'm not very sure. It was during my younger days that a movie called Pranayam, which translates into love, Pranayam, was released in Malayalam, and the lead role was played by one of the most popular actors in Malayalam, Mohanlal. And this song by Leonard Cohen, I Am Your Man, has been sung by Mohanlal in that movie. So a song sung by a Canadian writer is recreated in a Malayalam movie. So you can understand how significant this song is, or what the kind of influence of this song is. And this is also one of the most performed songs all around the world, even now. It's a very popular song. So I think we'll, initially I'll probably give you a very quick introduction about what it is. It is actually a lover talking to his beloved about what are the things that he's willing to do for his lover. Now again, gender boundaries, I'm setting aside gender boundaries aside. It could also, it's just not necessary that it's a male lover. So it could be, we'll stick on to gender fluidity for the time being. An individual is proposing his love in a very romantic way, in a very erotic way to his beloved. So I'll read the poem. I'm not a singer, so I'd rather not try to sing the poem. I'll try to read the poem for you. I Am Your Man by Leonard Cohen. If you want a lover, I'll do anything you ask me to. And if you want another kind of love, I'll wear a mask for you. If you want a partner, take my hand, or if you want to strike me down in anger, here I stand. I am your man. If you want a boxer, I will step into the ring for you. And if you want a doctor, I'll examine every inch of you. If you want a driver, climb inside, or if you want to take me for a ride, you know you can. I am your man. Ah, the moon's too bright, the chain's too tight, the beast won't go to sleep. I've been running through these promises to you that I made. I could not sleep. Ah, but a man never got a woman back, not by begging on his knees. Or I'd crawl to you, baby, and I'd fall at your feet, and I'd howl at your beauty like a dog in heat. And I'd crawl at your heart, and I'd tear at your sheet. I'd say, please, please, I'm your man. And if you got to sleep a moment on the road, I will steer for you. And if you want to work the street alone, I'll disappear for you. If you want a father for your child, or only want to walk with me while across the sand, I'm your man. If you want a lover, I'll do anything you ask me to, and if you want another kind of love, I'll wear a mask for you. So there are no complicated words. There are no what to say, very subtle, incomprehensible situations here. These are very clear to you. What the speaker means, or what the speaker is trying to communicate to his beloved, is very clear. The speaker is desperate to have the love of his beloved. What kind of love is another question. So it's up to you to read and decipher different kinds of meanings and interpretations. There is, of course, very carnal, very erotic, very sexual imagery throughout the poem. So the wooing by the lover towards his beloved, is it completely spiritual, or is it completely carnal, or is it a mix of both? It's up to each and every one of you to read and decide. For some people, they might think that beyond all these superficial readings, there is some spiritual elements there, or some people might find it utterly carnal and erotic and sexually oriented. So it's up to each reader probably to decide what kind of love this poem represents. So here, the desperate lover is willing to do anything for the beloved. That is, he is willing to take up any kind of role. He is even willing to wear a mask. Again, another problematic question there. In true love, shouldn't one be being oneself? Shouldn't one be what he really is, rather than wearing a mask for the beloved? So is this the kind of love that we want, or is this some kind of plainly carnal love? You can think about all that. It's very musical, of course. It's a song, but it does not stick to any particular kind of a meter. It's written in free verse, and there is no structured stanzaic structure as such. It has a lot of rhyming words throughout to make the musical quality kind of sing, but it does not have a very clear stanzaic structure as such. Coming to the form part, now coming to the content part, it's definitely most of these images are images of those times. As I say in most of my lectures, behind every book is a man. Behind that man is a race, and behind that race is the natural and social, cultural and political environments that shape the race. So when Leonard Cohen speaks, he is actually a mouthpiece of his times. All these images are very contemporary. If you look at probably T.S. Eliot's poem, he takes up a lot of archaic words and style from the past and writes, but these are all very contemporary. These things talk about everything that is happening around him. The driving a car, a doctor treating a boxer. So everything is actually very contemporary. When this poem, when he was writing, all that cultural atmosphere which was prevalent there is very visible to us. There are a lot of visual imagery, and there is of course tactile imagery also. Tactile and auditory feel is also there. Tactile feel and auditory feel is there. Tearing at your sheet, and striking down in anger, tactile imagery. And I'll just quickly go through. And crawling, dog in heat, clawing your heart, tactile imagery. Tactile imagery means imagery that somehow is associated with your senses, or your touch, more specifically. So a lot of tactile imagery is there. Of course, a lot of erotic imagery is there. Now, many of you would have this question: if the writer is, why is it that we need to include in the syllabi a poem which has a lot of explicit sexual imagery or erotic imagery? So this actually marks a kind of transformation that is there. That is, it is not just Leonard Cohen who starts discussing, explicitly discussing matters of the body in his time. But if you look at many significant writers of Cohen's time, they are also criticized for the same thing. They bring the body into the prime light, or They shed all kinds of inhibitions to talk about the needs of the body. So this poem also in that way connects to a particular kind of history. That is the kind of transformation from the Victorian value set to a modern set of values. If you look at writers like D.H. Lawrence, Lady Chatterley's Lover, Sons and Lovers, these are his works, and James Joyce, you can see that they are also people who start discussing the body and sexuality very explicitly. If those things were considered very, things of taboo by writers, in the earlier times, probably Victorian writers, those kinds of traditions are broken by these modern day writers. So probably you can actually think why. It's also again because of the changes that were happening in those times. The world was had happened, and people were understanding that somehow the world is in many ways material. That is why theories like Marxism come in at that time. That is the perception that the world is run by material forces or economic forces more than values or such moral ideas. And also Freudian thinking is introduced at that time, whereby Sigmund Freud in his psychoanalytic theories reduces everything to sexual or bodily desires. And also Darwin's theories gain popularity, the survival of the fittest. So, and also the sciences gain so much popularity, more than the moral side of people. The logical side of people is more strengthened at this point. So this kind of a transformation from the Victorian society to the modern society is visible. Most of the time it's artists who start voicing out social change first. It's those imaginative artists like James Joyce, D.H. Lawrence, or probably Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen, who actually who act as torch bearers of the time. So they also understand that the value systems of the society are changing, and material things should be explicitly or the bodily realm should be explicitly discussed. There is no shame in that, or there should be no inhibitions in that. These are the kinds of views that probably these new wave of liberal artists were putting forward. So this work actually is also marks a kind of transformation there. So probably that's also one reason why this work is significant for us students of literature, and why it is there in the syllabi. So it's a very classic kind of a work. As I said, it's up to you to decide what kind of love it is, but you can of course enjoy the imagery that is there. I'll wear a mask for you if you want another kind of love, or I could be a boxer and step into the ring. I could be a driver and take you for a ride. These are erotic, as well as you can also imagine them as real life situations if you want to. So these images can be comprehended by an ordinary man. They're not too subtle or complicated that only art connoisseurs can understand these. So this is the peculiarity of pop culture. It connects with the lives of ordinary people, their everyday lives and their everyday emotions. And especially there is a transformation from the Victorian turn of mind to the modern turn of mind, where they discuss material things, everyday things in writing, and also erotic and sexuality is very visibly discussed. So this kind of a transformation is definitely there, and you can see very clear images like the dog in the heat. I'll tear at your sheet. All these are erotic images which show the carnal desperation of the lover. So a very cult kind of a work, one of the most popular songs in the history of the world itself, maybe one of the most popular singer-songwriters also. So a person who has actually stood up for equality and political correctness and liberal values. So he's a person who you should look up on the internet, his works. What are his works? This is just a sample of his work. It's not necessary that you somehow judge the the amount of works that are out there by Leonard Cohen by just one work. I suggest you to read more works by Cohen, especially if you're lazy to look up works and read. You can just if you have music apps or YouTube, you can listen to his songs. They're very easy to follow, and they somehow touch your heart, somehow touch the deeper chords of your heart. And there are many situations when he sings, you will feel that he's talking about your own life. So there are wonderful songs by Cohen. I'd suggest you to listen to all that. So I conclude my discussion about Cohen and his work, I'm Your Man, here. Rest is up to you. You read, you interpret it as much as you want, and if at all you have any disagreements what I have taught today, let me know through YouTube comments or Google Classroom comments. I'm very happy to answer to all of them, because a text is enriched when you ask questions against it. So when I say something, you can negate it, you can ask questions against it and make it more meaningful. So let's make this process more meaningful. Ask me questions, negate me, I'm all welcome. I'll conclude by probably trying to sing the same line that I started with by Cohen. I don't sing, I'll just probably like say that song maybe. Like a bird on the wire, like a drunken midnight choir, I have tried in my way to be free. So thank you for listening, guys. Take care.